Greetings and welcome to Nanny Cooks from the Ozark. We're so glad you joined us today on this rainy day here in the Ozarks. I don't know how it is where you live, but we've had our share of rain this spring and it's been hard to get the garden in, and the sun doesn't shine just a little bit every day, but hopefully in a few days we'll be in full bloom of spring and that we can finish putting our garden out because we've been having to do it in between rain showers. Today we're going to do the third part in the series that we have called Back to Basics. Now in the first video we made sourdough starter. The second video we made what we call hillbilly bacon. And this third part series we're going to make 4 homemade mixes to keep in our pantry. You know, we're living in unsettled times right now. We've had some food storage shortages, and sometimes you go to the grocery store and the shelves are blank. But more important than that, we are going to make mixes that have less preservatives and less additives. So we'll get started here, and the first thing I want to show you is you can buy spices in bulk. Now we're fortunate down here in the Ozarks that we have a store in Branson called the Amish store, and where they have bulk spices. There's also a place near Seymour, Missouri that's a Mennonite store that has these bulk spices. So you can buy these very reasonable, and there's probably a lot less additives and preservatives in them. So first thing we're going to do today, we're going to make something that I call Rice-a-Phony. Now this will be a hit with your kids. I want to show you what we had for what we call down here in the Ozark supper last night. We had some salmon and a salad and some Rice-a-Phony. Now this is, I'm sure you've seen these mixes in boxes at the grocery store, but this is our take on it. So I want to go ahead and give you the ingredients for it. First, we take 1 cup of vermicelli. Now vermicelli is just a pasta, a very thin pasta. In fact, you could also use spaghetti and just break it into small pieces, or Orzo is also good to use in this. Now I get mine from the ethnic shelves at our local grocery store. It comes just in little packages. So we have 1 cup of that. We have 2 cups of long grain. This is white rice. You could use the brown rice if you want to. Then it also has 1/4 of a cup of dried parsley flakes, 6 tablespoons of instant chicken or beef bouillon, whichever you prefer, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, and 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric to use just for color. All you do is mix those together and put it in an airtight container to store it. And what I do is I just have the how to cook it on a label on it. When you're ready to cook it, all you do is add a cup of this mix, 2 tablespoons of butter, and 2 cups of water. Cook that for 15 minutes, stirring occasionally, and you've got a very quick side dish, or you could add some meat to it and have a full dish, and kids really like this. So that's our first mix we're doing today. Now I'm going to set this stuff aside and we'll go on to our next one. Now, who doesn't like ranch dressing? I haven't met many people that don't like it. Now this dressing mix is the best ranch dressing mix that I've ever tried. It's easy to keep. You can make it up and put it in the refrigerator. You can also use this as a dip, and you can use the dry mix to sprinkle on chicken or beef when you're going to cook it, to give it a lot of flavor too. So let's go over the ingredients with this. The first thing it calls for is a cup of buttermilk powder. You can get this at the grocery store, but one hint on this buttermilk powder: after it is open, if you've ever had the experience of having some and you use a little, you put it in your pantry and you go back a month or so and it's just like a brick inside. Well, the key is, once it is open, keep it in the refrigerator. And if you see there's little tiny writing down there, it says keep refrigerated after opening. So for this recipe for ranch dressing mix, we use a cup of this buttermilk powder, 4 teaspoons of parsley, 2 teaspoons of dill, a tablespoon of onion powder, 4 teaspoons of onion flakes, 3 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now you'll notice my salt isn't white because I use real salt, the way it comes from the earth. And then we use a teaspoon of pepper, 4 teaspoons of chives, and you mix all of that together and keep it in, again, in an airtight container. And when you're ready to use it for salad dressing, you use 3 tablespoons of the mix, a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, a 1/2 cup of sour cream, and 3/4 cup of milk. Stir that up well, put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Now, if you want it just for a dip, you know, we like the dips a little thicker than the salad dressing. You use 2 tablespoons of ranch dressing, only a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, and a 1/2 cup of sour cream, and only a 1/2 cup of milk. So that is our ranch dressing mix. I think you'll really like this. Okay, we have a plate here fixed up of some vegetables and some of the ranch dip that we can dip into and just enjoy it anytime. Okay, I know we're moving kind of fast today, but we want to get all of these things in, and then I have some more information for you. The third thing on our list is taco seasoning. You know, those little packets that you get from the store, they're not cheap. So I always keep this taco seasoning in the pantry ready to go. And again, I can just keep it in, seal it in an airtight container. And the ingredients in the taco seasoning are 1/4 cup of dried onions, 1/4 cup of chili powder. Now this is the dark chili powder that we use. A tablespoon of garlic, that's the granulated garlic. A teaspoon of ground cumin, however you want to say it. 2 teaspoons of salt, and an unusual item, this is 4 teaspoons of cornstarch. And then you can either use beef bouillon or chicken bouillon. We prefer the beef. And then the last thing is a teaspoon of dried oregano. Now I like to use the Mexican oregano, and again I get this from the ethnic aisle at the grocery store. And the recipe also calls for crushed red pepper. It calls for 2 teaspoons. Now we don't like things just really hot, and so I use just about a teaspoon in ours, but if you like it spicy, you can adjust these ingredients however you want to do it. And when you're ready to have tacos, you just fry up your ground beef and drain it. Add 2 tablespoons of this seasoning into your pan with your ground beef and about 1/4 cup of water. Stir that in and you're ready for tacos. So, okay, that's the taco seasoning. Now then, we have one more mix for you. This is called, well, I call it handy dandy seasoning mix. Now my daughter calls this all-purpose seasoning. So whatever you want to call it. Again, it needs to be stored in an airtight. I got this little contraption from Silver Dollar City several years ago, and I keep it beside my stove, and I keep this mix all the time to season just about everything that I cook. And it just has 4 ingredients. And a formula for this, you use 2 parts salt and 1 part of garlic. This is granulated garlic and pepper, and then some onion powder. So when I make it up, I use 1/2 cup of salt, and again, this is the real salt, 1/4 cup of either garlic powder or granulated garlic, 1/4 cup of black pepper, and a tablespoon of onion powder. And I just mix that up well, put it in this container, and I always have my seasoning mix ready when it's time to season something. So I know that was quick, but that's four handy mixes you can keep in your cupboard, and I will post these recipes for you. But now I have something else to tell you. I told you last week that I have written a cookbook. Well, I just got word yesterday that they have been shipped. So they are, the printer is finished with them, they've shipped them, and we're supposed to have them by the end of this week. Now, we will put a link on Facebook and YouTube both of how you can order these. If it's a local, it's $20. If you need it to be shipped, it's $24. And like I said, we will have this link for you. So follow us on Facebook and YouTube to get updates. And also, we are going to have a preview of the cookbook on May 14th here in Ozark, Missouri. And we're going to have a tasting table where we will have several of these recipes from the book prepared for people to sample. And also, we're going to have some drawings. So if you're able to come, we sure would appreciate it. We would love to visit with you. And we will put this information, like I said, on Facebook and YouTube. And we hope to see you there. And like I said, I will post these recipes that we have done today. And that's all I have. So I hope you have a great day. Enjoy. Bye-bye.